2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend and witness the vows of my nephew's marriage. There was a little confusion because his name is also Peter Tremblay. So when checking into the hotel, people were asking me, "Oh, you're the Peter Tremblay who's getting married?" And I said, No, I'm not. I'm the priest doing the wedding. And that always was followed by blank stares. People don't know what to do with that. But I remember when my nephew Peter was a very young child, just learning to walk and to talk. And I remember how really cute and emotional it was when he would say to his mother as a very young child, "I love you, Mommy." Everyone would ooh and ah, and photos would be taken, and the video recorder would be running. It was really a precious memory. And then, of course, fast forward a couple of years, and I remember my nephew as a very typical teenager, when after an argument with his mother, he would storm off and say with heavy sarcasm, "I love you, Mom," and go his way. And I'll never forget the evening of his wedding reception when I couldn't hear the words over the music, but I saw the emotions and I saw the reaction when at the very beginning of the mother-son dance during the wedding reception, I saw my nephew mouth those very similar words, and I saw a tear roll down the cheek of my sister-in-law as they began to dance together in one of the most memorable and beautiful moments that I've seen in quite a long time. I wonder, as I was praying with this gospel passage, my nephew came to mind. Whether he was 2 years old, 12, or 22, he said those same words to his mother, "I love you." And we know that as a 2-year-old, a 12-year-old, or a 22-year-old, in different moments, in different ways, they certainly meant very different things. What do we mean when we respond to the question that Jesus asks today? Who do you say that I am? This is probably one of those gospel passages that we remember from when our faith was the youngest. It certainly is one of those gospel passages that doesn't necessarily comfort us where we are, but rather it challenges us in a unique way as we leave here to constantly answer the question. It's not good enough for us to content ourselves with St. Peter as some sort of hero of the moment who got the answer right that one evening around the campfire. It's not good enough for us to simply accept what he said, repeat it back as if it were for us an intellectual exercise of faith. Or maybe even at some point in our lives, it's an emotional exercise of the heart. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. I believe. Because as we hear these words yet again, particularly at the beginning of this new year, we have to take this question to heart. Let it challenge us yet again. Because the answer that we offered before, the answer that we once offered, whether it was intellectual or emotional, is beautiful and good, but it's not yet where we ought to be. Because for us, this gospel is alive. For us, this question echoes throughout our entire life. Just as those simple words of my nephew, "I love you, Mom," grew in significance, meaning, and weight as he grew and matured throughout his life, so our answer to this question must grow as well. But here's the thing. Very often, when we wrestle with the answer to these most profound questions, we sometimes get an idea in our head that the Lord's expectation for us is that we will have already accomplished some noble depth of holiness, some significant height of perfection. I haven't. And I would imagine most of us haven't either. But here's the good news. If we listen deeper to this story, if we let the hero of the moment, if we let St. Peter challenge us, not just the words of Jesus, but the life and the example of the one who got the question correct the first time it was asked, if we let his example inspire us, there's good news. Because if you were to go home, blow the dust off your Bible, and open up to Matthew chapter 16 and read past this passage, you'll see mere moments after Jesus declares Peter the first pope, the foundation of the whole church, power over heaven and earth, you'll see Peter says something stupid. Like he always does, as soon as this gospel passage is over, he's saying and doing the wrong thing. In fact, in just a few chapters after this glorious moment, Peter even denies, rejects, and runs away from Jesus in his hour of need. So as we wrestle with the answer to this question of who do you say that I am, let's try to imitate St. Peter. Let's consider the words of St. Paul when he wrote to the Romans and said, "Oh, the depths and the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. How unbelievable are his ways. How unknowable his judgment. For who has ever known the mind of God? Or who has ever given him wisdom? Or who has ever said anything to the Lord that he has learned from?" As we wrestle with our faith, as we wrestle with the answer to this question of who do you say that I am, today is a day for us to consider that our answers are no longer good enough if they're merely intellectual exercises or emotional responses. Rather, the way that we live must become our answer. The way that we love, the radical compassion and mercy that we give to this world, that is our answer to this question. But if you and I are anything like St. Peter, we know that tomorrow we might goof off. Goof up, make a mistake, mess up, sin, reject God even. We might find ourselves just like St. Peter in the next day, the next week, the next month, betraying the Lord. And we have to believe in that moment that in some way God is still at work. In some way our faith is still growing. We must rely not on our own perfection, but on the mercy and the understanding of God, whose ways are not our ways. We must know and be filled with joyful hope that no matter what we wrestle with, no matter how perfectly we imitate St. Peter rather than Jesus, there's always mercy. Please know that as we begin this year, there is nothing that I am more excited about than being able to tell you that no matter how much you wrestle, no matter where you are in your faith today, nor where you might find yourself tomorrow or the day after, you're welcome here. You belong here. You will always find love, never judgment, compassion, never harsh criticism. You belong here, and it is our deepest joy, our deepest hope to spend this year caring for you as you wrestle with the answer to this question, strengthening you as you seek to grow in your faith, being there for you and with you as you spend this year imitating St. Peter more perfectly. Our hope is to be for you a support as you spend this year growing, learning, and living the answer to this question: who do you say that I am?